Have you ever felt stuck in a career that just doesn't fulfill you? Maybe you've been praying for God to open a new door, but nothing seems to be changing. In this video, I am going to be sharing my testimony of how God miraculously transformed my career in a way that I could have never planned or expected. If you're watching this and you're feeling lost or discouraged or uncertain about your career or your professional future, I believe that God has led you to watch this testimony to encourage you that He's working everything together for your good, even when it does not look like it. From the moment I turned 15 and went off to university to the moment I turned 23, I was pursuing a career in law. It literally wasn't until I went off to get a master's in international business law that I realized my love for business, because I noticed that I preferred the business part of the lectures to the legal part of the lectures. I guess that was when it hit me that I might be in the wrong career path. And I put wrong in air quotes because God does not make mistakes. So everything that happens in your life is for a reason. Anyways, from the moment I turned 24, God basically pivoted me into business. I know the way I'm saying it, you're going to feel like, oh wow, He pivoted you. Good for you, but guys, I honestly did not know it at the time, because that pivoting season was brutal. I felt everything from feelings of uncertainty to feeling like a failure and feeling inadequate as a result of a streak of back-to-back failures and rejections. It honestly just felt like I could not catch a break in my career. It felt like all my peers and all my mates were just moving faster than me, and I was just stagnant and wasting my life. That was a terrible feeling that of course led to depression and frustration and all the works. Guys, it will shock you to know that all this while, through all these experiences, God was actually leading me. And I did not know it. And honestly, it did not even feel like it. If anything, it felt like God was just tired of me. Like I just always showed up with one problem or the other, and I was just always showing up to God in tears, and He was just like tired. That's what it felt like. But that was just the devil taking advantage of like the challenges that I was experiencing in that season to just lie to me. So like I told you, all the while that I was feeling all these negative emotions, God had been leading me. And one of the first things that He did at the time to lead me and to pivot my career, that I honestly did not know that was God like playing chess moves, was when God gave me a job as a business development manager in a family member's company. The way the job came was one of those things where like God just gave it to me on a platter. I did not feel qualified for the role. And of course, that led to terrible imposter syndrome. Guys, that was my first official job in business. So I had absolutely no clue what I was meant to be doing. And the little I did just felt like it was never enough. And so because of that, I started like applying for other jobs, things that I felt would validate me more. I started applying for legal jobs, and I was getting rejected left, right, and center. And that was around the time God told me, don't apply for a job. And I understand where God was coming from. I've already given you something. I want you to steward over this thing well. In addition to applying for those jobs to validate me, I also tried starting a bunch of side businesses, and I failed terribly at every single one of them until it got to the point where I did what anyone in my shoes would do, and I started taking business courses online. The more I took these courses, the more I realized how badly I wanted to get an MBA degree, because I just felt like it would answer a lot of my questions and I would be able to learn a lot about what I felt like I didn't know at the time. And so of course I started applying for universities in the UK to get that master's in business administration. I actually got accepted into one of the schools, but that basically led to a dead end because the fees were like insane. Around the same time, my now husband had also applied for an MBA degree and got admission. And so the plan was, since he had already gotten admission, I would just go with him as a dependent. I would be working on my coaching career or whatever while he goes to school. At this point in the story, I had given up on applying for an MBA degree because of the amount of challenges that I just kept on being faced with. So I had completely stopped applying for an MBA degree. At that point, I got the brilliant idea to start this life coaching business, and I just felt like, okay, let me just focus on this. And then something crazy happened. Surprisingly, the country that my husband had gotten admission had changed their law that permitted you or that allowed you to move to the country with your spouse as a dependent. So basically, if you wanted to come with your spouse or with your partner, both of you had to apply separately and come as students. This literally just threw everyone out of balance. It threw me out of balance, threw my husband out of balance. Everybody was just confused. Because of course, this wasn't the plan. I was supposed to go as a dependent. I had given up on the MBA thing a long time ago at this point. I didn't even remember that was something I was actively applying for. So of course, everybody started thinking of solutions, and I came up with this very crazy idea. Because my husband had already gotten admission, I thought, okay, maybe he goes, he does his education, and I stay back, and we just have a long distance marriage. In my mind, I felt like, we had a long distance dating relationship, so we can do the long distance marriage. We were newlyweds at the time, so of course no one supported that idea. And then it clicked, and I don't know why it did not click sooner, but then it eventually clicked that we could actually go to the same school together as students. And of course, everyone bought into that idea. Everyone loved it. And then it was time for me to pick a course. And like I keep saying, I had completely forgotten about that desire to get an MBA. God used someone to remind me to pick Masters in Business Administration as the course that I would be going for. Long story short, I eventually got accepted into the university, and I and my husband went together. This is almost 2 years later, and now both of us have our MBA degrees. And I had started my coaching business that God had blessed by bringing the most amazing clients my way. And now I feel like I'm living my dream. I eventually pivoted from life coaching to business coaching, the core of what I felt like I was created to do. Sometimes it's I just want to pinch myself because it just feels like I'm living a dream, coaching people on business and actually knowing what I'm talking about. I honestly feel so fulfilled. I wake up every day feeling like I'm living in my purpose. I'm doing the assignment that God has given me. And I can literally say for a fact that I'm the happiest I've ever been. Looking back, I can honestly say that God is mind-blowingly intentional, because when this country was changing all their laws, it seemed like a bad thing, but God was doing that to move me into my purpose. Guys, when it seems like nothing is working, just know that God does not waste anything, including your experiences. The failures in my early days of business taught me everything that does not work and what not to do. I'm able to empathize with people that want to start a business and do not know where to begin. Those experiences that I went through of the failed businesses and the imposter syndrome and so on and so forth, they are now part of my story that makes me relatable. Romans 8:28, one of my favorite scriptures, basically says that all things work together for good to those that love God and are called according to his purpose. You are called according to God's purpose because you are a believer. So don't be discouraged. It may not seem like it now, but God is working everything together for your good, and I'm rooting for you. If you're just coming across this channel for the first time, hey there, my name is Benny and I'm a business coach. I basically help Christians start purposeful and profitable coaching businesses, either full-time or as a side income. If you're yet to subscribe, kindly hit that subscribe button down below, and you can also check out this video right here. See you there.